What's up, guys? Back again for some more One Piece action. Today we have my live reaction to chapter 1086. This is going to be the final chapter before we go on a 4-week break. If you haven't heard, Oda's getting surgery, so he's taking a little bit of a break. So send all of our best wishes and speedy recovery to him. But let's see what he has for us today. Alright, so chapter 1086. The 5 Elder Planets. Alright, so it seems like we're jumping right back in with the Gorosei. Maybe we'll get an explanation of those powers that we saw in the last chapter. Alright, so it looks like on the cover we have Luffy, we have Garp, we got Kobe on there. Okay, so and this is the cover of Shonen Jump Weekly, so pretty cool, pretty cool. And then let's see. So for our cover page, we got a rainbow color cover page. We got, looks like we got Nami, Luffy, Frankie, Usopp, Sanji. We got Robin, Brooke. Looks like we got a Tanuki hanging out with Chopper. He's got a little snail on his head, some frogs. And it says, cover request by Crazy, what is that? Dowie. Chopper and a kitty crossing the reflection of a rainbow they see in a puddle. Okay, cool. I like it. Nice, colorful, interesting. But, man, let's jump into this chapter and see what we got going on. So, okay, so it looks like we're heading right back to Mary's Wall right now. It says, and so the curtains drew closed on the Reverie before the news of King Cobra's murder came to light. Okay, so all the kings that were inside the meeting that we saw, you know, in last chapter, they don't know that Cobra was killed. They probably also don't know what went on with Wapol. They were just told that they weren't going to be at the meeting. And then it says the fallout from Reverie. All right, what do we got? So this is Princess Vivi of Alabasta. Has anyone seen her? Oh, okay, so that's looks like Irum. If you guys remember him, the Solala. So he's over here running around holding up pictures of Vivi, trying to find her. Where's the king? Has his condition worsened? So we see Pell, we see what's his name, Shaka. They're all over there like freaking out, like, hey, where's our king? Where's our princess? Like, what's going on? We dropped off the king for, you know, a meeting with the Gorosei, and now we can't find him. Like, he has bad health. What's going on? Where's Vivi? And it says, all the while, a number of stowaways held their breath as they attempted to escape on various royal vessels. Okay, so these must be, I'm guessing, the prisoner, or not prisoners, but the slaves that were freed by the revolutionaries and Fujitora. So they're trying to sneak onto ships to get away from the Holy Land right now. And then, okay, oh wait, no, we're talking about Wapol and Vivi right there. Okay, so looks like we're in the belly of a ship right here, and we got Wapol. He's like, hey, whose ship is this? And then Vivi's like, the Aegis Kingdoms. Okay. Then, oh, okay, we're getting big news. Okay, so we're going to see, I'm guessing, how Vivi and Wapol kind of got linked up with Big News Morgan. And then, okay, so they're talking to Morgan, and he's like, we're on Aegis' ship, Morgan's. Gotcha. We'll fly our headquarters over and pretend to look for a scoop. Use that chance to hop aboard, and don't get yourselves caught before then. Okay, so Morgan's kind of coming in clutch right now. He's going to be their escape route. And they're like, I owe you one. You got that right. A king house somehow became the subject of a manhunt. This is big news. I can't wait to hear all about it. Okay, so at this point, Morgan's has, I guess, no clue that Cobra has already been assassinated. And I'm not even sure if Wapol's had a chance to tell Vivi at this point in the story. We know that she does eventually find out. And okay, here, it looks like we're about to get it right now. It's like, so what exactly did you see in there, Wapol? And this is Vivi asking Wapol. Like I tell you, leave me alone and go back to your own ship. And she's like, I can't. CP0 is no joke. Now that they're after me, it won't matter how much everyone tries to help. Those agents won't rest till I'm back in their custody. Alright, so Wapol is just like freaking out right now. He doesn't want to say anything about what he saw. He's like, just the fact I know it is already enough to get me killed. But if I go around, you know, running my mouth off, like nothing's going to stop these Cipher Pol guys from getting me. And then it says, now, let me borrow your transponder now. I need to talk to my father as soon as possible. Okay, so Vivi, she still doesn't know. Come on, Wapol, you gotta say something. He's a total warrior. Anything but that. Get lost already. Alright, so Wapol's like, no, just get out of here. You don't need my den wishy. Like, he is trying everything he can to avoid telling Vivi, like, I saw your father get killed by Gorosei and by this person sitting on the empty throne, like, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And then, okay, we see Cipher Pol is in the mix now, going around showing off Vivi's picture, trying to find her, you know, since Cipher Pol, the guys that were formerly Cipher CP9 are now part of Cipher Pol Aegis Zero. We saw like Jabra and Khalifa and all them, and then we saw Vivi was in their possession, but then when Wapol came bursting through the door trying to escape from what he had just seen, Vivi kind of hopped on and they escaped together. So Cipher Pol right now is definitely trying to get them. They're flashing Sabo's picture, you know, even though he's the commander of the Revolutionary Army, like they need any leads that they can get on him. They need to plug this information leak as soon as possible. And then we see, okay, so we see Bonnie over there, and she's like, I'm hungry, and it looks like she's kind of in a little chibi form, so she looks like she shrunk down to a child in order to sneak on board. And it says, Tahine's Kingdom Ship Hatch Section. And then and then we see Sabo over there. He's like, if I can just make it to Leloucha. So he hopped on the Leloucha ship right there. I know I can figure something out. All right, so he knows that he needs to get in contact with Dragon. He needs to, you know, inform them exactly what he just witnessed, what happened with Cobra. Somehow he needs to figure out where Vivi is. He needs to figure out how to get in contact with Luffy and pass along Cobra's message. So right now he's got this little ship ride to get to Leloucha to kind of figure out what he's going to do. But as we already know, you know, he's not going to make it to his final destination, or at least that destination. And then what do we got? Okay, so Sabo, man, he got met for being a Logia user. He got messed up. And then he's thinking back to what, what's his name said, Cobra told him. He's like, I'm counting on you, Sabo-kun, as he's laying there trying to stop the bleeding. And then you see it flashback Cobra. He's like, you must live on. And, you know, this is painting Sabo that he wasn't able to save Cobra. You know, it's kind of like a recurring theme for Sabo. You know, either people that he cares about or people that he gets associated with. He can't save them, or he's not in a position to save them. He wasn't able to save Ace because he didn't have his memories of him. So that really destroyed him. Now he actually had, you know, Cobra on his shoulder. They were making their escape, and this attack took them out. And yeah, you know, Cobra was able to pass on the message to Sabo, but for Sabo himself, the fact that he wasn't able to save Cobra, that he's gonna have to deliver this message to Vivi knowing, like, I'm also gonna have to tell you that I wasn't strong enough to save your father. I literally had him on my back and I couldn't save him. So definitely a tough pill to swallow for Sabo right there. And then where do we go? So it says, it didn't take long for the two key stories to spread across the globe. The murder of King Cobra of Alabasta and the disappearance of his daughter, Princess Vivi. All right, so you know the world government definitely is trying to spin this to their own advantage. You know, they're going to blame Sabo for the murder of Cobra, and they're going to stick, as well as the kidnapping of Princess Vivi on him, try to make the revolutionaries, especially Sabo, look bad. And then, okay, we're going back up top to the Holy Land. And then they're like, the man they call Sabo. Okay, this must be the Gorosei. I think we're going back in. Yes, okay, so we're back into, you know, the typical room. We see the Gorosei chilling with their couches and stuff. And it says, he seems to have a checkered fate. How else can you account for him constantly being surrounded by those who bear the letter D? And it says, I was hoping we would be able to see to the egghead issue now, but it seems that dealing with this complication will have to take priority. And then all of a sudden that little Den Den Mushi that's always on the table starts to ring. And they're like, yes, great Emu. All right, what is Emu about to order? Are we going to get some more information reveals? Come on, give us something. And then it says, okay, we're switching over to that flower room in the Pangea Castle. And Emu says, the time has come to get Vegapunk's invention, or to put Vegapunk's invention to the test. I can't speak today. He's like, use the Mother Flame. Okay. What the hell is this Mother Flame? Is that what we saw attack Leloucha? Is that what we're calling it? A Mother Flame? And then it says, okay, we're going back to the Gorosei. It is true, we haven't had the chance to try it out before now, so there's no way to ascertain its effectiveness yet. Okay, so hold up. I'd kind of assumed that the attack that took out Leloucha was the same attack that they had used, you know, years previously to take out God Valley in order. You know, since God Valley completely was wiped off the map, and then we saw Leloucha get wiped off the map. I assumed it was the same power, but it's looking like that it's not. So that just opens up a lot more questions But it says, depending on how well this experiment goes, Egghead may reconsider its response. I think a forest area would be a more suitable testing ground than a sea-based target. And then Emu chimes in, Lelouchia Kingdom. Damn, okay, so the Gorosei is over here talking about how to test this weapon and where they should test it. And, you know, going back and forth between, forest versus like a sea-based target. And talking about how this is a brand new weapon that they have yet to test that was developed by Vegapunk. But now we're hearing from Emu that he wants to test it on Lelouchia. So clearly this Mother Flame is what took out Lelouchia. And they're also considering using it, I'm guessing, on Egghead in order to get Vegapunk and them to change their position. But I gotta wonder, like, you know, you have Punk Records on there, so I thought maybe that's why they had held off attacking Egghead, was because they want to try to preserve Punk Records. But it seems like we're about to scorch Earth and just take out anything that, you know, could lead to Emu or, you know, give out any information on him. And then it says, quite a lot of people live there. That is of no consequence. And they're like, understood. The world moves at the will of the creator. What is the reason for Lelouchia's selection? Okay, are we about to find out? You know, if you guys have seen my theory video, we talked about Emu's possible, you know, family connection to the original 20 Kings. And then I had a commenter that brought up maybe he's from Lelouchia. Are we about to see who's... He's like, it's close proximity. Okay, not exactly the answer I was expecting. It's close proximity. It shall be as you say. And then, okay, we see the giant explosion on Lelouchia. And then we see, okay, Saint J. Garcia, he's like, I will make necessary preparations. I humbly request your patience in the meantime. And it says, 5 elder planets, defense, science, warrior god, Saint J. Garcia, Saturn. Damn, we're getting all the Gorosei as well as kind of their positions or titles, I'm guessing. And then the guy with the long mustache, kind of like Ganfall, he's like, Lelouchia's citizens have shown sparks of rebellion recently. And then his name is Saint Marcus Mars, and he is the environmental warrior god. Okay, interesting. Now we got the Gorbachev looking dude. He says, we may be able to make an example out of them. Saint Topman Valkyrie. All right. Then we got, you know, the swordsman looking one, the bald headed one with the glasses. It says, if we could one day use this power freely. And his name is Saint Ethan Baron V. Nusiduro. All right. So interesting. And then the final one, the blonde one with the big scar across his neck right here. He's like, we could instantly snuff out any protracted conflict. And him is Saint Shepherd Jew Peter, agricultural warrior god. So we have an agriculture, a finance, a justice, an environmental, and a defense science warrior god. Now obviously they're warrior gods because they are the Gorosei, so they consider themselves god, and I'm guessing they, you know, because they are the 5 elder stars, they're the warriors of of the celestial dragons. And then, okay, we're going back to Emu down in the garden, and he's like, one more thing. Of course, retrieve Vivi as you wish. All right, so why does Emu specifically want Vivi back versus, you know, killed and taken out? Maybe Emu wants to find out what else the Nefertaris know, what else was in Lily's letter, you know, because we didn't really get into a whole lot of detail with Cobra and Emu discussing what was in the letter, other than the fact that Lily has a D in her name. But okay, now we're switching over. We're going back to headquarters, Navy headquarters, and it says, meanwhile, the kingdom of Tahin and the Aegis kingdom are both rebelling. And then we see Sakazuki between the disbanding of the 7 warlords and the uprisings in government affiliated nations. The Navy has their hands full. However, and then we see all the Seraphims, and we see a Dofi Seraphim deploy the Seraphim. Crocodile was spotted on Empty Bluffs Island, so we see Dofi, we see Moria, and we see Crocodile as Seraphim. So that is hype right there. I can't wait to see them using their powers. It says their military power had already gone in a new direction. So their navy is definitely keying up and getting ready for, these big battles coming up. But they're employing the Seraphim, getting them battle tested, getting everything figured out. And then we go back to Sabo. Okay, so Sabo on the ship. He's like, the second we docked at Leloucha. Oh no, okay, so this is Sabo when he's talking to Dragon them. The people arrested King Seki and Princess Komane. They were just waiting to ambush the royals. Okay, so we already knew they had the revolution. We knew they were eventually going to overthrow them. But it looks like this happened right when they returned from Reverie on the ship that Sabo was on. And then Sabo said, since I was a stowaway, they welcomed me with open arms. But all we get is a ... from Dragon. He's like, that's when I saw the papers and found out that they pinned King Cobra's murder on me. Alright, so Sabo finding out right when he gets to Leloucha that everything that just transpired has now been pinned on him. And then what does Dragon have to say? He's like, unsurprisingly, the people there considered me a hero. I wanted to tell them the truth, but when I saw how that lie fanned the flames of rebellion within them, the words died in my mouth. Alright, so that's a little sad, the fact that, they don't want to squash what little bit of momentum they have going for the rebellion, so they can't even really admit, I didn't kill King Cobra. King Cobra was not a bad guy. Just because he was affiliated with the world government, not every single king and kingdom and government associated with the world government is necessarily evil. Some of them are literally just trying to, protect their people, like King Riku and all them. Yes, they serve underneath the world government, but not because, like I said, they align with their values really or agree with how they do things, but it's either get in line and fall under them and protect your people, or rebel against them and have potentially the navy or, formerly the Shishibukai or whatever assets they had at their disposal to come and deal with you. It puts a king in a difficult position. What do I do? Do I stand up for what I believe in, or do I, bow my head and do what I must to protect my people? And again, there's multiple kings. King Riku, King Cobra, what's his name? The guy with the King Punch. Not bad guys. They're kings of their kingdom, but they are good guys at heart too. But anyways, Betty and the others had already inspired a lot of them, and I ended up bringing many of those hopeful recruits back with me. Okay, so that was the ship full of people that Sabo showed up at the Kamabaka Kingdom with after Leloucha was taken out. He's like, I couldn't make direct contact with an encryption snail, so I rerouted my call through the island while we were setting sail. I knew the government would intercept the signal, but doing it like that was sure to fool them into thinking I was still on Leloucha. Alright, so Sabo kind of planned that whole thing out, okay, I don't have an encryption snail, so I'll just use this thing to reroute my signal, so it's going to make the Navy think that I'm still on Leloucha. And then he says, however, I was just within range, having already set out to sea with our new enlistees, when boom! So he's like, so the annihilation, okay, this is Ivankov. So the annihilation of Leloucha really did happen during that call. Yeah, Sabo, I don't know, I guess it was kind of more of a happenstance, you just happened to be there and, rerouting the call through. From what we just saw, Emu had already determined that they were going to test this weapon on Leloucha. He's like, yeah, everyone on board was hysterical. A lot of them had family on the island. They saw their country obliterated right in front of their eyes. And then Dragon, despicable. How in the world did they do it? And then we see it says, an enormous shadow seemed to engulf the sky above us. And the next moment, everything was gone. And then he's like, an enormous shadow? Okay, does he know something about it since he knows Vegapunk? And he's like, there's no way it was caused by a living thing or some natural disaster. Something pitch black was flying above the clouds. Oh man, what do you guys think it was? And then Ivankov's like, Sabo, earlier you said they used the name Emu. And he's like, right. This may, what do you know, Ivankov? He's like, this may be a little out there, but when the world we know today was created 800 years ago, one of the first 20 sovereigns was Saint Emu of the house Nerona. Okay, how the hell do you know this? He's like, look at this. And he's like, since we know an ability granting eternal youth is said to exist, that must mean someone has used it, right? Or has used it before, right? Okay, so they're like, look, we know that it's a known thing about Law's devil fruit that it can do the immortality surgery. But how do they know that? Well, that must mean someone has used the ability previously to do the immortality surgery for us to know about it. And then he's like, which means there's a person out there that doesn't need to worry about death. And he's like, so you think the one I saw, and we see Emu in the background, the silhouette, he's like, it could be a coincidence. Maybe they just share the same name. But anyone else but a founder, could anyone else but a founder command the 5 elder planets, the highest of the world nobles? And that is such a good point. Like, yeah, you have all these celestial dragons and everything, but the Gorosei are the top 5 people, and they were the top 5 people for hundreds of chapters in the story. And then for someone to be above them, who would they allow to be above them? And it only makes sense that it would be literally one of the original founding 20 kings. Like, that's literally the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, you could argue for not dependent, an ants or one of their children, descendants, thank you, that's what I was looking for. One of their descendants possibly attaining that title and that position, but again, I feel like that would be a lot more hotly contested if it was a descendant that had taken up the position on the empty throne, whereas if it's one of the original kings, like, who else is going to contest their right to sit upon that throne? Nobody. So again, that is just crazy that we're getting Emu's name, but where is this house from? Saint Emu of the house Nerona. So let's keep going. And then Ivankov's like, one more thing. Assuming the object you saw above the clouds was a weapon made by the government, then the only one capable of creating such a thing would be Vegapunk. All right, pretty solid leap right there. He is the brains behind everything the Navy kind of has right now. So if you got this big ass unknown weapon taking out a country, chances are Vegapunk either directly made it himself or was supervising it or knows about it at the very least. And he's like, hold it, Eva. Vegapunk would never intentionally design a dedicated killing machine. And they're like, I know. Okay, so they're like, getting a little bit heated. Like, yo, hey, Vegapunk would never do that. Like, make something intentionally just to be a weapon of mass destruction. So what was it that Vegapunk designed, and how did they manipulate it into becoming this weapon, I guess, is the biggest question. And, okay, no, they're going at it. So maybe this Mother Flame is just another name for Pluton. He's like, so what if it was an ancient weapon? Assuming Emu has been living since the ancient times, there is a connection. All right, so Robin told us that the ancient weapons do in fact exist, but if the person had such a weapon, why wait till now to use it? And that makes total sense, Why would you have this ancient weapon for 800 years potentially, and you've had, Rocks coming and challenging them, Roger challenging them, you have all of the Yonko that have been a thorn in their side for years. Like, if you've had this weapon all this time, why haven't you used it? And then that makes me kind of think, well, going back to what we saw on Egghead with that big suit of armor, he's like, oh, we don't have a means to replicate their power supply. So maybe same thing with Pluton. Maybe this whole time they've been unable to use it because they were, unable to secure the power supply when they defeated the Ancient Kingdom. So they just have had the weapon. And we know that Vegapunk has been trying to work on replicating that power supply for, whatever various reasons. But maybe he finally got something that was enough to power up Pluton right here. And then it says, present day, the Holy Land of Marijois, a celestial dragon has just... Oh, Mosgard must have been sentenced to death. Has just been sentenced to death. Our food supply is gone. We have no bread. All we have is cake. However, this information will never be reposted to the outside world. Of course, they're not going to admit that they would kill a celestial dragon. That would just kind of damage how they're viewed as these untouchable gods. And then it says, The judge was the former king of the land known as God Valley. He currently serves as the supreme commander of God's Night. His name is Saint Fingerlin Garling. Okay, so is this the dude that Shanks and Uta are supposedly related to? Or, you know, as the theory goes, or I'm not even sure if it's a theory anymore. I think they stated in Film Red that, you know, it pretty much confirmed Shanks is a celestial dragon, or former celestial dragon, or what have you. But damn, this guy looks cool. And I just, okay, he's got a moon-shaped, like, hairstyle going on. His head looks like a crescent moon right now. Oh, this is so cool. And then, oh, damn, we see Mosgard over here, and he's, like, crucified to the symbol of the world government. And it says, the man he sentenced to execution, none other than the one who chose to defend fishmen, Saint Don Quixote Mosgard. Anyone who protects scum is lower than the scum they protect. Damn. Okay, so this man, clearly, we see exactly what his sentiment on the world is. Like, you were the former ruler of God Valley, and now you're the head of the God's Knights, you're the commander of the God's Knights, and you view helping anyone that basically looks like, that isn't a celestial dragon as scum, so you view helping them makes you even lower than scum. So this guy's kind of a dirtbag, it seems like. He's got the the sword right there. So I know some people, when they saw the God's Knights silhouette a couple chapters ago, we saw this sword, and people are like, oh, maybe that's Shanks' brother. Well, I think, this guy seems a little bit too old for Shanks' brother, and especially since he was the king, I'm guessing maybe a father or an uncle or grandfather, something like that, if he is related to Shanks and Uta. But damn, to see him. And then we get a little note that says break for 5 weeks. So it's like I said at the beginning of the video, we know Oda is going to have some surgery, so we wish him the best of luck. He just dropped this fire on us, just enough to leave us smoldering for the next 5 weeks of some theory videos, thinking about all these connections that we're getting. We got revealed the name of Emu and his family, but we didn't get the reveal of where that family originates from. So is it Lelouch? Is it not Lelouch? They're not related to the Don Quixote, so theory out the window. That's okay. But yeah, this was just an amazing chapter. 10 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know if you guys saw anything that I didn't pick up. Let me know if you guys have any theories that kind of popped in your head while reading it. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure to hit that subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Make sure to drop a comment. Have a wonderful day.